Organs starts up here. This is the oral cavity. Again, if I have a pin in here, you should be able to tell me it's the oral cavity. And then teeth, tongue, be able to know what those structures and are and like how they participate in digestion. But the only organ that you really need to be able to identify in the thoracic cavity is this muscular tube right here, which is behind, kind of like pulled it out. This is the trachea. You know it's the trachea because it's tougher, has more structure to it because you see the cartilage rings. But lying behind on the posterior side of the trachea is this muscular tube, which is the esophagus. So the esophagus will go from the oral cavity to the stomach. It will run parallel with the spine through the thoracic cavity. It will enter through the diaphragm, which is what separates the thoracic from the abdominal pelvic cavity, and into the stomach. So this organ right here, this sac-like structure, this is the stomach. The organ that lies kind of on top of it, like above, superior and anterior to the stomach, this is the liver, okay? Multiple lobes, huge organ right under the diaphragm. So this is the liver, sandwiched in between the lobes of the liver, this balloon-shaped organ right there. Does everyone see it? Mm-hmm. This, sometimes it can be really, really green. It depends on the concentration of the bile at the time of death, but this is the gallbladder, okay? So if I lift the liver away, here's the stomach, right? All of this stuff, which is connected to the greater curvature of the stomach, this is all greater omentum. It's that big kind of just loose areolar connective tissue and fat, and it lies over the abdominal organs for cushion, protection, energy storage, all of those things that adipose function, you know, the functions of adipose. But the abdominal pelvic cavity doesn't have like a thoracic cage like the thoracic cavity does. It has ribs and hyaline cartilage to protect those organs. The abdominal pelvic cavity doesn't have that. So this greater omentum helps with protection and cushion. This fat that's embedded right here in the lesser curvature of the stomach, that's the lesser omentum. So lesser omentum in the lesser curvature, greater omentum attached to the greater curvature. Coming directly off of the stomach, you'll see the small intestine. So if I have a pin in the small intestine right off of the stomach, duodenum, okay? Because it's closest to the stomach. So this is the duodenum. And if you look in the mesentery, which all of this stuff that looks kind of spider web-like, you'll see arteries and veins embedded in it. Right here, arteries, veins, nerves. That's all mesentery. It's what helps hold and give a little bit of structure to all of the intestines. Because the intestines are so long, you can't just have them like flopping around, so it helps them like kind of keep them more structured. But embedded in the mesentery, right below the duodenum, there's this very grainy organ, okay? That's the pancreas, right? So the pancreas is embedded in the mesentery right below the duodenum. So traveling along the small intestine, if I were to ask an area of small intestine that's neither close to the stomach nor to the large intestine, you would say it's the jejunum, okay? So if you travel this around, let me look for this area. Okay, right here. Does everyone see that there's a size discrepancy between the size of this part of the intestine and this size? This part. This is the small, this is the large, okay? So this area right here, this C-shaped area, this is the cecum. C for cecum. So if I ask a part of the small intestine and it's just before the cecum, it would be the ileum, okay? Embedded in this cecum area, you would find the ileocecal valve, which regulates the passage of the chyme from the small intestine into the large intestine. Here's the large intestine, which travels down and descends into eventually the rectum and then the anal canal. Cats don't have an ascending, transverse, and descending large intestine or colon like humans do. Okay, so in the human models, you would have to be able to identify ascending, transverse, descending, and sigmoidal colon or large intestine. You don't have to do that in the cat. It would just be large intestine. Okay, or if you want to say descending large intestine, right? And then the last one to point out is this organ right here located on the left-hand side that kind of runs parallel, you know, along with the spine, I guess, but more on the left-hand side. It's up and down. This is the spleen. Okay? This is the spleen. All right, and that's it.